Welcome everyone back to Pommy and Oz. Hope we're all doing really well. If you're new around here, hit the like, hit the subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Can't thank you enough for the support. 6,500. We've absolutely smashed it out. So thank you very much for that. It does mean absolutely everything to me. And we're here today to look at your drafts. What we're going to do is just fill you in on what happened over the 2 days. We have the rookie draft probably in a couple of hours after watching this video when you start to watch it. So over the weekend, we'll have like a ranking tier video, which I thought would be quite fun, where I tier your draft and your off-season. We'll tier it, we'll rank it, and then we'll start doing individual clubs. So stay tuned for that next week. You have loads of content coming up to Christmas. Got a couple of fun little lives as well planned where we can have a bit of a laugh together. So thank you. Make sure you stick around. There'll be loads of content in the off-season. So let's get straight stuck into it. Adelaide ended up with Sid Draper and Tyler Welsh. And you would say that this is Operation Success for the Crows. They bring in my boy, big midfielder, exciting pace merchant Sid Draper. And they bring in Tyler Welsh, their father's son, who is an incredible key forward. So I really like this draft. I think it's really expected. Like this is just like, exactly what we expected. No shocks, no surprises. You can't fall off when you do what you do. So this was a really good. I do think having him at pick 59 as well is really unders, as they have limited list spots. So, Adelaide, they're in that situation, aren't they, where there's not much they could do. And we look ahead. It's going to be really interesting what they do coming up to like the rookie draft, because at the moment, with the players that are on there, they are committed to Harry Schoenberg and Burgess, which would then take them to 43. So they could use a spot on the rookie one. So this is going to be a really interesting one where we can talk about that a bit later. But two good players, two players that we expected to go there mostly. So good result for them. Brisbane. Obviously, this was pretty simple for the Lions, wasn't it? The Brisbane Lions, they went into this draft knowing they'd get Levi Ashcroft and Sam Marshall. Levi has been standout this year. He's definitely one of the best in his class, and to get him at 5 is an absolute steal. Sam Marshall is an incredible pickup. We talked about him yesterday. Real impressive player, and again, probably about his money. But then Ty Gallup, who I think is a fantastic get. They had to match the bid, but this guy here is really strong in the air. Incredible key forward prospect. Definitely going to be one of them players that's going to be, you won't see next year, but at 194, he's that nice size to really learn off Jesse Hogan. One for the future, definitely. Was quite impressive, if not stood out in the Lions Academy this year as well. 3 goals a game, which you can't argue with from his 3 games. And for the Allies as well, 2 goals a game from his 2 games as well. So real strong asset there. Strong in the air, brings the ball to ground to his smalls. I really do like that pickup, and Brisbane did do the match there. So obviously they value him as well, but a real good one for the future. We expect Brisbane going into this. They've committed to Darcy Craven and Dara Joyce. So that will mean that they will have rookies maxed out, which would take their list to 42 with 2 spots, which they could use on the senior list. Sam Day's going to make them get to that 36. Be interesting if they look for a training on spot, which we do expect them to do, but they won't be active so much today apart from picking up Craven and Joyce on the rookie spot. So good result for Brisbane. They didn't have to give up too many picks either. My beloved Blue Boys, Jagger Smith, obviously we talked about at length yesterday. Our rank 2 in the draft class. Incredible accumulator who has got 360 vision, IQ, leadership, but also pace and endurance. Suits Carl's midfield, gives a long-term POD as opposed to a short-term hit. But as expected, we called it pick 40, Harry O'Farrell, with no bids of Ben Camporelli. They will be amazed with that. But we did call it, so we're happy with that. But very good key position prospect here. Had a few injuries, but could have been probably a top 20 defender, given how he was playing. Real nice size. He's going to learn off 2 great key forwards and a key defender to perfect his craft. Highly athletic, has a real good vertical leap, and high exceptional AFL AQ as well. So one for the future, but a real exciting one. And Ben and Lucas Camporelli, so stoked that Lucas Camporelli had a bid on him. Many people were saying, we're going to do a token gesture. That validates him there there. Ben, that inside midfielder who can float out and play half forward. MVP honours for Glenn Elg. Real hidden little gem. And for Carlton to get him effectively like a pick in the 50s to match it, huge result because you ain't getting a player of that calibre. And Lucas, hard-working, industrious, the consummate role player, and I'm really excited about seeing his development. I think we've got a real good draft there. So the Blues will be stoked with that. 2 elite runners, a key position player, and a point of difference in the midfield. They couldn't ask for more, the Blues. Pies, I really enjoyed their trade period. I just want to say this. Joel Cochran coming in, who is elite one-on-one, and Sydney passing it was a real good spot. And he really does look like that kind of Nathan Murphy type. Understated, hard at it, does his job, no bells, no whistles, everything that you'd want in that type of role there from a player. So I think this is an absolute steal for the Pies. Pies have absolutely done a gem. And then we called it in my mock draft. I was a big fan of Charlie West. I think this guy here is one of the most underrated forwards in this kind of draft class. The mate of Mr. Tyler Welsh, he has been really strong all year for the Torrens boys, and he's a contested marking beast who works really high up the channels, very like Brody Myercheck. That 194, this is a steal. And then to suit the pattern that McRae likes, they went Will Hayes, and I really like this one here because his profile here is just an elite runner. One of them players that just works hard all day, up and down the ground. An elite kick as well, got real nice use there of it, the way that he uses the ball. He's got real good running profile in the terms of that. He's a bit like Ollie Holland's players like that can sprint all day for 14, 15 Ks. 180, him and Ed Allen are the future of that football club, and this is brilliant. When you nail your first 2 picks, and then you get Will Hayes, adding Dan Houston to this, very good draft period from them. Well done, Pies, under their new establishment. Essendon Football Club, they probably had the steal of the draft in Zach Johnson at pick 70, but they took Kyle Gerin, who we've talked about a lot, ruck forward prospects, real good little pick here. We talked about Keiko at length, potentially one of the best 3 ruckmen in this competition. Very good ruck craft, but incredible user of the ball at 199. Great marker as well, works really hard for his team. Gussie Clark came in as well, who is that real medium-sized interceptor at 190. Really strong, but really quick. Good in endurance. Works well below the ground as well. Loves them balls, ground balls, but also hits targets all day and an elite speed. Real big POD there. I really like that selection. Reece Unwin, which was a fascinating one because they went with another midfielder and a kid as well who has really showcased how hard he works defensively as a forward, but also can pinch it in the midfield. Elite speed, elite defensive pressure, and has got great evasion. Something that needs to iron out a few creases, with his ball use and his decision-making at times, but incredibly agile, incredibly versatile. And the fact that you've got Keiko, who was the best small forward in this draft, add this guy in there as well. You've got that happy medium. And then Zachy Johnson, I think an absolute steal for the Bombers. He is a very impressive young man from the Northern Knights. Works really hard, elite user of the football, and this is probably what they were looking to target. Midfielders with good endurance and elite football use. Incredibly quick as well, 185, a nice size. Obviously, this is really interesting because you're looking at 2-dimensional players in the AFL. Zach's a throwback to the old school days of where you look for a really attacking midfielder. And when I look at the profile of what Essendon got, I think he's a real gem there. So, the big 3 of the big 4, Carlton, Richmond, Collingwood and Essendon that we talk about in Victoria, all of them have drafted incredibly well. So really good draft by them. Fremantle will just be rubbing their eyes with glee and going, how the hell did this happen? Because we talked about Murphy Reid yesterday, the big slider. Charlie Nichols, the target man, the consummate target man who hits up that Leeds incredibly well. He's got really elite running lanes. He came in at pick 34. Runs all day, bit of pressure as well for him, which is really rare for a tall, real strong selection here. And you can really see how that would really, play out when you look at it. And then with their final selection, nicely, they took father-son Jaron Carr, 191. He's that medium-sized forward. He loves that link. It's been quite impressive out in South Fremantle this year. He's really showcased that ability to really be a hit-up mark and also penetrate deep inside 50. He loves that long kick onto the goal square and works hard all day. A really good selection for them. Geelong Football Club, always one of my favourites to talk about. They took two players that are very similar profiles to Mr. Jack Martin, and we'll start with Jay Polkinghorne, 191, can probably play a bit taller than that. Kind of think of like an Audi Aaron Cadman, because he does play in the key position, works incredibly hard up the ground, incredibly athletic. Working with Jeremy Cameron, he's got a lot of similar traits in the terms of he loves to lead up to the wing, he loves to peel and go, he loves to be actively involved, he's quite quick as well. Hits the scoreboard like you wouldn't believe and really strong in the air. He's learning off probably one of the best players to ever do it in Jeremy Cameron. So this is a real wait and see moment, because when people say that, oh, he's not very tall, you've got to remember that he's still got a bit of growing to do. But also when you look at someone like Jeremy Cameron, who is like a behemoth, a lot of these small players now come into it. Charlie Kerner was considered an oversized midfielder when he came into the draft. You still make it work, and playing for them pocket positions like Ollie Henry does and stuff could be a real jewel in the crown. But then working with Jack Martin, who really does play taller than he is, could be a great one. The surprise here was Jacob Mollier, the ruckman here. We did say that they may look at a ruckman later on in the draft, but they went with a ruck forward, and it's quite interesting because Dodson was on the board, and this guy was displaced by Alex Dodson, the South Australian team, and went to go to a forward. Incredibly athletic for 201. Real good ruckcraft, though, and that's something to be noted, and really highly mobile. So he's kind of like that Reece Stanley type prototype where you probably got a better upside with him. I do like this selection. Lennox Hoffman, the defender out in St Kilda, they didn't match this, and this was really interesting for them, which made sense why they targeted defenders early doors. He is a really strong intercept player who has got elite field skills. And you look at Lawson Humphreys last year with late picks. This is kind of what Geelong do. They have targeted a player. And Lennox Hoffman is going to be like a slow burn, but someone that you've really got to look. You've got to look for it. So this is a real interesting one. And then Western Jets forward, who has just got elite work rate. Really, really looks busy. Really strong through the core, and that's Caton Matafei Forbes, who has got a bomb on him, an absolute bomb on him, 188, rises high, really strong. Did have some really good performances this year for Vic Metro and the Western Jets. The Metro really did showcase that ability to be that third target with his 5 marks in that game. Can also play down the back, which is really interesting as well. But for the Western Jets, averaged just under 2 goals a game this year and 4 marks. A real good player to learn off Jack Martin. And I really like this one. This is going to be a really interesting one, and his name is a mouthful. So watch this one, because that could be a real good intrinsic learning space. We talked about Leo Lombardo yesterday. They selected him pick 9. But the interesting one for me was Cooper Bell, right, from the GWS Academy. And it's fascinating that they didn't take him. A key defender at 199. He stands out. Would you have said defence was what they need? I actually think they're going to use him as a forward. He did kick a lot of goals last year and was called upon. And he's an awkward 199 because he's so quick. Real quick, works really hard, attacks the ball. At times you can see that there's a lot of traits there that need refining, but the big thing is his understanding and his pace bails him out of trouble. And there won't be many players in the league who are as quick as him at his size. Kicked a goal a game this year as well. I think that's a key forward prospect for there, and I think that's what they've seen. Stay tuned for that one, because we know Dimmer loves his tall forwards who can move. We talked about Harry Oliver and Ollie Henry Hannaford and Cody Angrove yesterday. I'm big fans of them. But the two that I really do want to pick out on here is what you missed in day 2. And Jack O, an elite wingman, very Blake Acres type, hard-working, two-way running, and marking option. And this is something that I don't think they have when I look at it. And I think Jack O is probably my second favourite selection there around Harry Oliver. Logan Smith, highly mobile ruckman. What a steal here. He has got something because he uses the ball well. He's 204. He can run all day. Very like, the modern day ruckman that we're seeing. Your Timmy Englishes, your Rowan Marshalls who are extra midfielders, your TDKs. He ain't as well shy of tackling second and third efforts. This is an elite steal here, and it's going to be interesting to see Madden and him in their state league side to see how that pans out. Good selections from GWS. Ollie Hannaford, what an absolute... And Max... Sorry, that's Noah Miraz. Noah Miraz up there for them, for Hawthorn Football Club. What a selection for them. This guy here is my favourite key in the draft. It has to be said. I'm a big fan. And great selection by the Hawks Football Club. A bit of an injury hit year last year, but this guy, elite one-on-one, real good ball use, real nice size, real strong player. And then pick 64, Cody Anderson, an absolute clone of Jai Newcomb. Got a bit to work on with his ball use, but I haven't seen many kids who work as hard defensively as him. So really one that I want you to look out for next year in the VFL, because if you can learn from Jai Newcomb, who was a late bloomer, I think you've got one hell of a pickup there. Great selections there, and that was a really good draft, I thought, by the Hawks. Melbourne Football Club up next, and we talked about Harvey Langford and Xavier Lindsay. Great selections, has to be said. Great selections by them. But Aiden Johnson from the Werribee Football Club, they've gone with a ready-made player, a guy that really does show that aggression, the physicality, the one-on-one work. He also can kick goals. He's that nice size, 193. He's a couple of years older than his draft class, his peers, being a mature age, or he's worked there hard. And he's a defensive beast as well at that size. I really do like this as a forward option for them because it's something different that we don't often see. Really allows to clear the lanes for Mr. Jacob Van Ruin to go in. So good drafting by Melbourne. I really do like that. North Melbourne, we know that they got Matt Whitlock and Finn O'Sullivan yesterday. Really good pickups, but I like the way they finished. And sometimes it's not how you start, it's how you finish it, as we say. And Luke Earhart came in, the hard-running clearance specialist, 184, learning off probably one of the best hard-running clearance specialists in LDU. Real strong player, uses the ball quite smartly. He likes to play it short and sharp, but he isn't scared to get on his bike with his elite speed and his power through the core, and he can kick through. He does like to blaze it at times, which they're going to have to iron out, but I think this is a really good selection around this pick. You've got to give them the props sometimes at what they did. And then the crafty guy, Mr. River Stevens, son of Anthony, a real live wire action at 176. Loves to play taller than he is as well. Really, if you want to watch games, go and watch the South Australia game where he really did show it. Can kick with both sides, is left-footed, but incredibly old school small forward that's there to kick goals, create lanes and create channels, and it's great to see him on the list. Well done him. Port Adelaide, their second two picks, absolutely stellar. Joe Berry, we talked about yesterday, genius, but at 33, a player that was top 20, Jack Whitlock, forward who can rock. He can mark, he's got mobility, great goal-kicking action. What an absolute selection. He'll learn a lot in the absence of Charlie Dixon, and he's a real good long-term future. And Christian Morales, the hard-working winger who can pinch inside, one of the sliders from the start of the year. He's got that X factor, and you know what? I wouldn't be surprised that you guys trial him out at half-back to really refine his kicking action and get them things, because he runs all day and he's quick. Good selections by them. Richmond, they only had two selections in the afternoon, but their first selections were elite. Layla, Smith, Houghton, Fall, Trainer and Armstrong. They went Tom Sims, and this was quite an interesting one because They went and doubled up, but why not? Protect your future. And I think this guy here, Tom Sims, at 199, is going to be more of a ruck forward option and looking for that second point of difference in the forward line. Incredible vertical leap, really strong one-on-one, and he's really smart as well. His goal kicking is the big question mark, but I don't mind it because just his fundamentals and his natural skill set really is a POD. It's a hard matchup, and he's probably going to grow, and you can see how tough that is. Them 200-centimetre players are a nightmare when they slide forward. So I think working with the Nank to work on how he uses his body and stuff, this could be a really gem. I really like it. And then 58, Jasper Olga. What a selection. We were wondering if they were going to look further. They lost a lot. A few of you in the comments, Richmond, were saying we lost a lot of smalls. Well, you've got one here. An absolute lightning bolt player. Loves his goals. Does the unthinkable. He can crumb. He can do anything. He also chase down tackles. Real excitement machine. A-grade draft. I mean, you could say, oh, it's easy, Pom. They've got 100 picks. You've got to get them right, though. Got to get them right, and a lot of teams slide. St Kilda, we was really interested. We talked yesterday about Tyrone and Travella. Don't mind it, though. Good selections. But then they went and brought in another defender who can play forward in James Barat. And then it made sense when they passed on their NGAs. James Barat, real standout player, really hard-working, industrious, can play forward and back, kicks goals galore forward, but also is really strong defensively. I really do like that selection. Hugh Boxall came in as well, and I'm a big fan of this guy. They started to go with midfielders, and this guy here is everything that you can kind of see that suits the Ross mould. Works hard all day, elite running. That has been a key fundamental of how St Kilda have drafted. His ability to tackle and work defensively, but also his ability to be clean in stoppage. 188, so he's that nice size as well. Had a real strong year for Claremont and being the provider. I do like that selection. Alex Dodson, really interesting selection here from these guys. I was very impressed with this one. The best ruckman on paper in the class, and he slid to here, but a point of difference. The modern day ruckman, fast, quick, agile, great selection by them, and they finished it off with Calder, Collins, Patrick Said. Great little player here, clean, hits goals, goal kicking mid, slots across that half forward at 188. Doesn't need many touches to be an impactful player, but also has good endurance as well. Runs really well. I really like this selection. I think this is a real smoky because he's working with players who just naturally find the ball, which is probably Patrick's one knock. But good selection. St Kilda finished that draft off strong, has to be said. Sydney, really big fan of this. Riley Bice, I absolutely love that selection. We talked about Bowman and we talked about Ryak, but it's great to see him in the draft, Riley. This guy here is that modern-day 185 halfback flanker that attacks and attacks and attacks. Real run and carry. He bites off the dangerous kicks, loves the corridor, a real transitional threat, and he's ready-made to play football at 24 come the start of the year. And Ryak Andrew, they gave up Joel Cochran for a guy with an incredible ceiling. And I really like this one here. A lot of his knocks were the same as Mac Andrews, his size, but look at Mac Andrew, how quickly he put it on with good nutrition and good training. I really like Sydney's draft. They finished that off incredibly strong. Well done, them. Dogs. Cooper Hines was a great start, but then Lachyjack, real strong customer out at Geelong Academy, Geelong Falcons. Incredible run and carry, loves his intercept, really is a transitional threat. I think that's a sensational acquisition for them, particularly where it was. And then the provider of all things entertaining at Sandy, Mr. Josh Dolan, very understated, this guy. Hard-working, 177, rigs really hard from them small positions to bring players in and around as well. He's not just a goal-kicking merchant. He also looks to spread the play. I think this is a good little selection. Sam Davidson, we've seen how well he's done this year as the mature age tall forward at Richmond. He's been really a standout, was probably unlucky not to be selected at the mid-season draft. Took the Fothergill Mitchell medal as the best young player in the VFL. And go and watch the Port Melbourne game where he absolutely tore it up. He's that wonderful size 190. He leads well. He's got really nice kicking action, and he's really hard working for his team. And then the slider of the draft, a guy who came really, really late, a guy that puts defence first and tackle pressure, very Cooper Lord-esque. The Sandy Dragons boy, who's probably gone understated at 62. Really interesting this, because he has all the fundamentals I have in a Beveridge side. Elite running, uses the ball fairly well, but also just tackles all day, and he's that stopper, working with one of the best to ever do it in Tom Liberatore, who's defensive. I could really see this being a really shrewd pickup. I really do like that. Nice size as well, that 181. And we finish with probably my surprise of the draft. I thought they were doomed, I tell you. Doomed. Yesterday, they managed to get Mr. Bo Allen, which is a great pickup. But then Job Shanahan at 30. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them trial this guy down back. I'm going to be totally honest with you. Old Job. And you might say, well, Pom, that's a bit weird, isn't it? He's a key forward. Well, he did start life as a key defender, and I think you look at his skill set and how he plays, definitely his marking is his strength, and his ball use. Working with Jeremy McGovern, I see a future Jeremy McGovern in Job Shanahan, so watch this space with him. And then they got Tom Gross, my boy, a guy who I've been a big fan of, an ultimate provider. He's like an Audi Harley Reid in that avenue, that he loves to break out of midfield and kick goals, finds the ball really well, intelligent, incredibly quick point of difference, and marks well, a real good conduit, and a nice set shot. I really do like that. This is a massive upgrade on Jai Cully. Like, imagine 4 levels above Jai Cully. Luca Gregor, one of the guys that I talked about in this draft as a late pickup. 184, plays that George Shuey type role out the back of the stoppage, but also can play halfback. This guy is just a physical specimen. And that's when I look at the Eagles, I think they lack that fight and that desire. Luca comes in, he loves the scraps, shaved head, real strong with defence, works hard as well, will track his man down and will run all day. A really good little acquisition for them. And then they finished it off. We talked about it. I had Kale go in late in my mock draft. I knew one of the WA boys was, and it was Hamish Davis, though, this time. An elite runner, beautiful size 190, midfield ball that's got a little bit of a turn of pace, runs hard all day, it has to be said, runs hard all day, hard tackler. He's played seniors, he's kicked a goal a game. He's a real gem gat, and I think West Coast did incredibly well. That's the guys then. Tomorrow, over the weekend, what we'll do is I'll treat you to, I'll rank these, I'll tier. I'm going to give you your best pick and the pick that I'm not too sure about. And we'll do a tier maker with each other. That'll be good fun. Then you'll have from next week all the individual things, analysing your list, talking about train on spots, what I think your best 23 is, and we'll go from there. Peace, love and light. Make sure you subscribe. Loads of live content coming through as we head into December. I'm out.
See her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella